Wow, this stove now is working way better. So just on this hot metal, I get enough heat to get a nice boil like that. And this is what I wanted. This is fantastic. So I have this door in the way. There's a tiny gap at the bottom for air to go in. And in there, a fire like that. All right, I'm back at the cabin. I'm making a big fire here. I'm gonna make it really hot, and then I'm gonna put in these pieces. These are for my new stove. I'm gonna update the stove because I need the top cooking surface to be hotter. So I have to put a baffle in. So I'm just gonna take it apart. This is gonna be the top cooking surface. I put in acid to try and remove the zinc coating for the galvanized steel, but there's still quite a bit of zinc on there. So I have to put it into a super hot fire and burn that off. I also found this dish rack drying thing, which is perfect for underneath so that you have some space for air and coals to drop down. So I'm going to also throw that in the fire. This is also zinc coated. Then I'm going to make a bunch of clay. I have sand and clay mixed together. And then I'm going to destroy that nice little stove. So here I am taking apart the old stove. I took the cooking surface off. You can just see how it's pretty well fired on the inside. It's pretty, not a lot of cracks. It looks super good. So I'm going to take this all apart. I'm going to extend it a little bit, and then I'm going to build the new one. And the big thing with the new one, it's going to have a baffle, basically. So when there's a fire down here, the air has to go around to the front and then over just under the cook plate and then up the chimney. So the baffle will be a metal piece. It starts at the bottom here, comes up, and goes over the front. And then there'll be a gap in the front where the air can come in. And this is like a conventional wood stove. Because what was happening here, I had a cook plate, but it was sucking in cold air, and there was mostly cold air coming in under the cook plate. Most of the heat was just going out the chimney, and that's how the chimney actually changed color. So now I'm trying to get more heat in the stove. So I have lots of these huge, I have 3 of these big balls of clay here. This is the cook sheet. It was nice and flat before, but now I had it glowing hot in the in that fire to make sure, got rid of all the zinc. And then I have this sheet that was also in the fire. Alright, I just really wanted to explain how the stove's going to work. So I have the grate here, and underneath is usually where you would start your fire with paper. And as the fire is going, coals are going to drop down. And this is where you can take the ash out. The wall's going to be built up higher, and this baffle is going to be built in there. So what happens is your fire is here. It can't just go directly out the chimney. It has to go out through the front. And then here, this is where I'm going to have my cook plate on top. So you can see that it has to go forward, and it has to kind of accelerate under the cook plate. And that's really the hottest part, those gases coming off the fire. And that's going to make sure at least the back half of the cook plate is very hot. So it'll be nice to have kind of like a hot side and a cooler side of the cook plate. I am so happy with this new stove. It's much bigger. Has this nice place where you can light a fire underneath, air gets underneath, and then that baffle, I don't know if you can see it, but some of the fire is going to the front and then going in through that gap at the top. And there's a lot of fire touching the bottom of the cook surface. So I've been running the stove pretty hard for about 5 hours, and it's drying off quite well. Kept it pretty hot, so you can see that it's actually steaming. So it's been steaming for quite a while. So it's hot enough on the inside, and now the outside's getting hot enough to kind of steam off the water. This piece here looks really good. I put some aluminum on the inside there. There's aluminum strips with holes. I think that's kind of holding that all together. Last time that cracked quite badly, but now looks really good on the chimney. The chimney is super hot. It's even, I think it's kind of firing the clay all the way up there. And here I have this huge pile of wood that I just cut from pallets. So my work has a bunch of pallets and been using it for firewood. And then I have some just natural logs that I've been splitting, but this is all pretty wet, so I've just been mixing them together. It's great. I'm super happy with this thing. Yeah, and I had it, if I'm running it really hot and I turn off all the lights, the whole center here glows red hot. So it's super cool that I'm able to get the metal hot enough that it can glow. Yeah, you can see it go over that baffle there. And that's kind of the hottest spot where the flames curve around the baffle. That really heats up the metal. And the coals are dropping down. It's working really well.